development in the homicide investigation of Patricia A. Wilson and Robert J. Wilson that occurred on August 14, 2016. Also, first of all, I want to thank the Farm Bureau for making their facility available to us on very short notice. We appreciate that very much. They're a great partner for us in DeKalb County. First, I would like to recognize the individuals here with us today on the stage. They represent some of the key agencies and were key partners in this investigation throughout DeKalb County. And they represent not only themselves, but other agencies that are not able to be here today who've done such a significant support effort for us in this long-term investigation. So first of all, and if they would step forward when I call your name, so they know who you are. So, Chief Deputy Andy Sullivan, Sheriff's Office. Andy has been the guiding hand of this investigation since the very night of it was reported to us. Sheriff's Lieutenant Jim Berg, State's Attorney Rick Amato, First Assistant State's Attorney Stephanie Klein, Coroner Dennis Miller, DeKalb Police Chief John Petrogallo, Commander Bob Riddell, DeKalb City, and he's also head of the Major Case Squad, which was a key element, obviously, of this investigation. Retired Sycamore Chief Glenn Terrio, Sycamore Police Chief Jim Winters, Deputy Chief Mike Anderson of Sycamore, Sheriff's Detective Jackie Lane, Sheriff's Detective Jeremy Grubbs, NIU Police Commander Jason John, and NIU Sergeant Larry Allerton. I believe I got everyone. They all were critical and part of the investigation from the very beginning, and without the support of law enforcement, not only these folks, but others, we would not have been able to be where we are today. As I turn this press conference over to Chief Deputy Andy Sullivan, I want to thank the Sycamore and DeKalb County community for their support of our office throughout this investigation. I believe today's announcement is the beginning of God's answer to the countless prayers from the Sycamore community and from the Wilson family. Andy?
Thank you, Sheriff. The DeKalb County Sheriff's Office announces the arrest of Jonathan D. Hurst, a male white, 213 of 69. He's 51 years of age, formerly of 1446 North Wells Street in Chicago, and currently residing at 457 Lloyd Place in Cincinnati, Ohio. He was taken into custody on Monday, February 24th, just after 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, with the assistance of the Cincinnati, Ohio Police Department. Currently, he's being held at the Hamilton County Jail, where he is awaiting extradition back to Illinois, where he will face 2 counts of first-degree murder. On August 15th, 2016, just before 6 p.m., the Sheriff's Office responded to 16058 Old State Road in rural Sycamore, where Patricia Wilson, 85 years of age, and her son, Robert Wilson, 64 years of age, were found deceased inside of the residence from blunt force trauma. Investigators determined that the homicides occurred during the late evening hours of August 14th, 2016. In your package, you were given a timeline of the events that occurred that have transpired over this investigation, so you have that for your reference as well. During the course of this investigation, more than 1,300 leads have been developed and followed up on, as well as several search warrants for items such as video, DVD recordings, phone records, and the victim's house. This crime had a significant amount of physical evidence that was collected by investigators while processing the crime scene. We've worked closely with the Illinois State Crime Lab, who have done an excellent job analyzing and processing this evidence. From that evidence, a complete DNA profile was obtained from within that crime scene, which allowed investigators to use this profile, and along with other investigative techniques, several persons of interest throughout the course of this investigation were able to be eliminated as suspects. Later, the Sheriff's Office enlisted the help from a private laboratory called Parabon, which specializes in DNA phenotyping. Also in your packet, you have contact information for Parabon and their media person, Paula Armentrout. Any questions regarding Parabon should be directed towards them. Detectives from the Sheriff's Office, along with Parabon, continue to investigate the genealogical side of this case and search public genealogy databases in the effort to narrow down the scope of the DNA profile, and subsequently built a family tree that eventually led to this individual from that DNA profile that was found within that crime scene. This work took an extraordinary amount of effort and a significant amount of time to locate this offender. And it's through this effort that approximately a week ago, a solid lead was identified using this unique profile, and with the continued investigative techniques that they were using, that led us to make this announcement today. We were also able to confirm through cell phone records and other evidence that he was in the area of the crime on the day of the murders. Also, a vehicle was stolen from that residence, which was later recovered in Chicago on North Stockton Street in Lincoln Park, which is just a short distance from where the offender lived on Wells Street in Chicago. I would like to thank the Cincinnati Police Department, specifically Chief Isaac, Lieutenant Dave Johnston, Sergeant Eric Vogopol, Detective Sandy Sieving, Bob Randolph, Dave Gregory, and Greg Gehring, along with the Hamilton County Coroner's Office and their serologist Joan Burke, criminalist Don Whirling, for their assistance in apprehending this individual. I can't express the amount of gratitude and the extraordinary efforts of the exemplary officers and detectives from your agency. They went above and beyond in helping us with surveillance, and which led to the ultimate apprehension of this individual. Again, thank you, Cincinnati. We'd like to thank all the members of the DeKalb County Major Case Squad. DeKalb Police Commander Bob Riddell, thank you so much for everything you did leading this investigation. Sycamore Deputy Chief Mike Anderson, retired Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Brad Carls, the DeKalb County State's Attorney Rick Amato, First Assistant Stephanie Klein, and the rest of your office. DeKalb County Coroner Dennis Miller, Parabon Nanolabs, the DeKalb, Sycamore, NIU, and Sandwich Police Departments, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Illinois State Crime Lab, the Illinois State Police, the Cook County Sheriff's Police, and the Chicago Police Department. And to all the members of the Sheriff's Office who worked on this case from the beginning, from the detectives to the first patrol deputy on the scene. Thank you. All of our detectives from the Sheriff's Office, John Holliday, Josh Deaning, Jeremy Grubbs, Jackie Lane, Grant Erickson, Alex Becker, Detective Sergeant Dave Aranda, and retired Detective Lindy Bauman. Everyone continued to show perseverance, and they never gave up on this case or for seeking justice for the Wilson family. During this investigation, countless hours have been spent continually working to bring this person to justice for their horrific and unprovoked act of violence. And for that, Sheriff Scott, myself, and the entire DeKalb County Sheriff's Office are truly grateful. Our hearts and prayers remain with the members of the Wilson family. They've remained patient and have given their unwavering support to the Sheriff's Office throughout this entire ongoing and complex investigation. We hope now that they might be able to start with the healing process as we hold Jonathan Hurst accountable for the murders of Robert and Patricia Wilson. This is still an active investigation, and we have information regarding Crime Stoppers. If people have more information, now that we've given this information, we urge you to call the Sheriff's Office. We urge you to call Crime Stoppers at 815-895-3272. You can also email Crime Stoppers at crimestoppers@dekalbcounty.org, and the Sheriff's Office can be contacted at 815-895-2155. You can ask to speak to a detective. I'm going to introduce State's Attorney Rick Amato.
Thank you, Chief Deputy Sullivan. I want to take a moment and express my condolences to the Wilson family for their losses of Robert and Patricia. As the case transitions to our office for prosecution, I also want to acknowledge all the work of the men and women of our law enforcement team for their hard work and persistence in this investigation. The goal of our prosecution is to seek justice for the Wilson family and for our community. For over the last 3.5 years, there's been so many unanswered questions about this horrendous murder. Yesterday, our office filed 2 counts of first-degree murder against Jonathan Hurst. The first count is for the first-degree murder of Robert Wilson, The second count is for the first-degree murder of Patricia Wilson. If convicted of both of these counts, Hurst faces a mandatory life sentence for these actions. At this point, I'll turn over the floor to questions for Chief Deputy Sullivan or myself.
If the chief deputy could answer, is this a random crime, or did he have any dealings with this woman and her son?
There's no known connection to the family whatsoever. It appears to be a random act of violence.
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes.
You know why he was in Sycamore?
No, we do not.
Could you talk about the 1,300 leads that were developed and also just using a private company to help analyze the DNA? Why wouldn't it just stay with the Illinois State Crime Lab?
Well, we also, the state crime lab was instrumental in helping us develop that profile from within the crime scene. And at that time, we were at a point in the investigation where we wanted to further it because we didn't have any new leads coming in at that time. So we enlisted Parabon at that time because of the success stories that they've had in the past. And if you contact them, they'll be able to give you more of that information. But they have been, the state crime lab has been wonderful and a true partner throughout this entire investigation. And Parabon just enhanced that and continue to work with us while we continue to further develop our leads.
Was it the first time you've worked with Parabon?
Yes.
When he was confronted with this evidence of suspect in Cincinnati, with the Cincinnati police, did he confess to anything? Has he said anything yet that you can share at this time?
Nothing that we can share at this time. He was taken into custody without incident, and we're just awaiting for the extradition process now, which Rick can probably speak more to that than I can.
Can you tell us who he is? He lived in Chicago for a while. What's his background? Does he work now?
He works now. He's employed out in, and we're still following up on those avenues. He works out in Ohio now, in Cincinnati. At the time, he was employed periodically while he lived in Chicago, either at different restaurants or bookstores. But he has no known ties to the Sycamore area or to the Wilson family.
Can you speak further on the use of the genealogy website, public genealogy databases to identify the suspect?
I would refer you back to Parabon for that, and just that the State Crime Lab gave us a complete profile that we were able to upload and use with the State Crime Lab as well as with Parabon.
Were you personally in touch with the victim's family members in the last 24 hours? How did they react to the arrest?
Yes, so we've been in, the sheriff and I met with the family yesterday after we made the arrest. Within 5 minutes after we made the arrest, we went and met with the family to let them know. They're very appreciative, but it's also, I wanted you all to know too, they're very private people and they don't want to be contacted by the media. So I ask that you respect their privacy, but they were, obviously this has been a horrific event for them to go through, but they've been very patient and given nothing but support to us.
For you, can you talk about just what it was like for the department to have this case and, the days turn into months and months into years, and then what was it like for you all?
Sure, so I know I can speak for all of us. This case has been like a roller coaster. You think you're coming close to a conclusion at one point, and that lead fizzles out. But it's because of the evidence that we had, we were able to make sure that we follow those leads to the end, and we're able to clear people of interest, which is very important to do also, that we make the right arrest of the right person for this crime. So it was up and down. But it was always ongoing. This has never been a cold case for the sheriff's office. We've never labeled it that. We continually work this case, and when it was assigned to a detective, once it came back from the major case squad, it was assigned to our detectives, and then as fewer leads came in, a main detective remained on the case at all times, and when leads were to come in, the whole group would activate again to help chase down those leads. So it's been an up and down course, but we have a successful conclusion today with the arrest that we're announcing today, and we're thankful for that.
So just to be clear, you have a DNA match to this suspect, and what do you have that from?
So we have again, we're not going to divulge that information yet, but we have the DNA from the crime scene, and we know that we have the right person.
Does Jonathan Hurst have any previous criminal history?
No.
Do you believe it could be linked to other crimes? You're working with obviously Cincinnati, Illinois State Police, all these different agencies. If they're looking at him for any other murders or anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't have knowledge of that.
Can you talk about taking him into custody? Was he struggled?
No, he was taken into custody without incident, and that was with the assistance of Cincinnati Police Department, and we have detectives out there too that are out there with them, but they were instrumental, and he was taken into custody without incident
Where in Cincinnati was he arrested? Where
at his residence.
How long were you watching him, or was Cincinnati police watching him before you made the arrest?
So we had the lead that we further developed for about a week. And so we've been working on this lead, verifying things. There's a lot that goes into it, of course. So we knew that we were going down this direction, and we continued to verify things to tie up our lead, to make sure we're in the right path. And once we were able to do that, we met with the state's attorney's office and secured an arrest warrant.
When do you anticipate him returning to the county?
The extradition process will begin in Cincinnati and Hamilton County, where he's presented his rights for the extradition. That could take some time, depending on what his choices are in court. Once that process is completed, we will be going to Ohio to pick him up and bring him to DeKalb County.
Was anything found in his apartment in Cincinnati that links him to this crime? Did he stole anything that could be, used in this case?
There's nothing at this time that we can comment on that at this time.
And can you speak any further to motive or, why?
No, we cannot.
There's no sign of robbery?
No. The car was stolen from the house.
Was anything else taken from the home?
Not that we're going to release at this time.
And just to reiterate, you believe he did not know his victims?
That's correct.
What kind of connections does he have in Cincinnati who brought him there?
That's unknown. I don't know if he went there for employment or what. That's unknown.
Okay. Okay, I think that's, concludes our press conference for today. We appreciate all the effort you came to be here today, and we again send our condolences to the Wilson family. Thank you all very much.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. So when we sent out the email blast, we sent that press release out at 11, and attached to that was a JPEG, so all your stations should have it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's the mugshot that was just taken before he was arrested?
That was taken from, at the Hamilton County Jail.
Okay.
Yeah. Chief Deputy?